It's great to be back at EFL Talks. This is Jason R Levine, also known as Fluency MC. Thanks to all of you who are helping Rob to organize this event. I've done nothing except show up here, but so thank you. I'm very happy to be here. And I want to tell you how excited I am about the question I got. Really, it's just perfect for me. But Rob and Dr. Nelly also did wonderful work figuring out who should get which questions. The question is, how important is drilling as a means of practice? And what do you think of that word drilling? You like that word? Yeah, Louise, it's a great question indeed. Drill as with a drill. Cecile hates it. It's a pity because the word is horrible, and unfortunately that means, or not means, but I think connects to why maybe it's not, the practice is not used as much as it should be. Could be or should be, depending on how you feel. There's not really another word for it that I like so much. Repetitive practice, meaningful repetitive practice. Anyway, drilling is not a favorite word of most people think of the dentist. My answer to this question is, it is hugely important, depending on your concept of drilling, repeated usage. That's how I like that. Is it important in the language in the classroom, or is it important outside of the class, or both? That's a very, very important question. I'll keep looking down, but on the chat box, but I'll kind of moving as we don't have too much time here. I like this definition. It's very simple. It might surprise you, given if you know the kind of stuff you do. And you can see fluency and see relax, repeat, remember. Listening to a model and repeating what is heard. Does that sound exciting? No. Yes? I think, again, it really depends. Yes, it depends. How about if you listen to a song many times, it gets in your head, and then you start repeating what you heard, then you're drilling, aren't you? So that's just one example. I'm just going to add a little bit to that. Listening to a model that interests and motivates you and repeating what is heard. So listening to a song you hate and then repeating what is heard is not going to work. And you don't have to repeat right away. The example I just gave you, of course, was it's sort of dependent on not repeating right away. You don't listen to a song the first time and repeat it. And sometimes we push students too quickly into production. Speak English, or do the song, which is crazy. I'm looking down at Rob's comment because it's exactly what I always talk about, right? Trumpet, hockey, soccer drills, judo. When do we tell kids, don't repeat the same thing? Like this, but drilling, if it's boring and you're getting it out of your classroom because it's boring, takes up time when you want your students to be engaged in communicative activities, I feel you. But how easy is it to engage in a communicative activity when you don't have automaticity? Thank you, Giovanna. How can you really play piano or do karate if you haven't automatized certain movements? So not repeating right away is really important. I think most people think drilling is, just teacher says something, you repeat it right away, but I don't think so. All activities can be boring, exactly. And unfortunately, a really cool communicative activity, moving up in the hierarchy of educational objectives, into critical thinking skills that we've been hearing about, can be boring as anything if you don't have the language ready to use it. Oh, thank you, Dr. Nelly. Stuck, being automatized. The model, who is this model? Could be a singer, actor, podcast host, shopkeeper. I've got to make sure nobody steals my bag while I'm out here. That's one of the hazards of doing this outside. A radio announcer, a shopkeeper, yeah, just, you're listening to what the shopkeeper says. It doesn't mean you stand there and do an oral dictation. It means maybe you hear the same thing every day. So then it gets here and you start repeating it, right? It's that repetition, that drilling is all about. But it also could be that you're actually shadowing people, like a news anchor, while you're watching. Thanks for the time alert. Perfect, Doc. A friend, a classmate, especially, I know some of you are going to say, but what about mistakes? If they're a little bit above your level, will motivate you and will give you that input you need. What about some examples with these models? So I mentioned singing along to songs, quoting lines from movies and TV shows. But first, about songs, I was in a tiny city in Sicily not too long ago. Of the students, two of the guys said, can we do Thrift Shop, the song Thrift Shop by Macklemore, which is a really long and complicated rap song. And I said, sure, thinking, they knew a little bit of it perfectly. How did that happen? So accurately and fluently? That's because of drilling. If we define drilling in this way of listening repeatedly and producing repeatedly what you've heard. I love that poem, Nellie. We got to dig that up again. Quoting lines from movies and TV shows. I'm teaching actually in the school right over here on Thursdays. Learners 7 years old, 8 years old. They love saying the same thing over and over. Oh my God, Justin Bieber. Sorry, Bieber. I call him Beaver without thinking. Where do they heard that from somewhere, and they just go around saying, "Oh my God, Justin Bieber!" Right? This is what I'm talking about. That's drilling in the sense that they heard that so much, and their friends are hearing it, so they're repeating it. Playing games, amazing. How about a game very quickly, just to give you an example? It's a winner every time. My crazy friend, right? My crazy friend is wearing a scarf. My crazy friend is wearing a scarf and a hat. My crazy friend is wearing a scarf, a hat, and some shoes, right? You can do that chain. That's drilling, right? Because you've got the set structures you're practicing, that case present progressive. You can do with other structures. They're getting that repetitive input and practice with the structures they need and the target language they need. If you try to go into an activity, for example, back to back, describe what you're wearing or the other person's wearing, it's going to be a nightmare, even though it's more interesting than the one that's drilling. If the students don't have that language, it's just not going to work, right? Learning a poem or rehearsing a dialogue. The key to drilling, getting repetitive input and practice in activities you enjoy, right? Got to enjoy what you're doing. When I say relax, repeat, remember, relaxing means having fun and enjoying. A minute left. So this is what it all comes down to for me. We typically push our students up, thanks Dr. N, into the areas of applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and evaluating with language. Comes a car. I'm going to have to shift over here a bit. I mean, this is the real. This is live action. To go up. What's the problem? If they don't have enough knowledge of the language and that recall understanding, then it doesn't matter how great your activity is. They're going to be bored. They're going to be distracted. They're going to speak their native language. They're going to be on phones. That's what it's all about to me. And I hope to some of you know what I'm talking about. And I'll just leave you with an invitation to join the weekly English workout. Teachers and students, it's free to join to check it out. I'm just going to put the URL here. It's also easy to remember, fluencyfc.com. Just type that on in here, cmc.com. Add any questions or comments. Great to see a lot of you here. Thanks for your support. Thanks for this great program, EFL Talks. Can't wait to work more with you on it, Rob.